Thank you all so much for coming. We are going to start with a few welcome remarks from our distinguished mayor, Mark Luttrell, as he makes his way up.
Well, thank you, Christine, certainly, and for all of you who are here, thank you for coming out after, I know, a busy day in the office to really come out and highlight some of the innovations that we're seeing in stormwater management. Commissioner Bob Martineau, where are you? There you are. Commissioners, good to see you. Thank you for really being, I think, the driving force behind this competition. I know it's something that certainly the state of Tennessee has been very interested and supportive of, and I'm glad that we could help really move this initiative on down the road. I was telling Commissioner Martineau earlier that this morning I spent time with the Agriculture Commissioner talking about some innovations in crop sciences. Crop science, I guess I should say, but it's good to spend our day looking at innovative approaches to agriculture and innovative approaches to storm drainage abatement, and certainly the fact that you all are a part of this discussion indicates your interest as well. Certainly to our Office of Sustainability, Paul Young, who recently was promoted by me to serve in my office, but Paul Young with the Office of Sustainability, and then his successor, John Zena. John, where are you? Somewhere around here close. John Zena back here. John Zena is our new head of the Office of Sustainability. Give him a big hand of applause. He's got a big task ahead of him, but has just done a marvelous job with our regional green print initiative. And John, we look forward to continuing to work with you on innovative ideas throughout Shelby County. We're in for a little bit of fun tonight. Now, ask me what I know about storm drainage runoff, and I'll tell you absolutely nothing. So I'm here to learn tonight, and I look forward to it. Certainly, I see several people that look a lot like me when it comes to their lack of knowledge. Mark Billingsley, it's good to see you tonight. Jim Strickland. Ron Belch, you know something about everything, so I know you're in good shape. But certainly several judges here, some of us celebrity-type judges. But we're in for a good time, for a good cause, and certainly you all are here, I think, to not only be entertained by people like me, but also to be enlightened about some of the innovations that are taking place in this particular area. So once again, thank you for being here. For our out-of-town guests, Commissioner Martineau, you in particular, thank you for the opportunity to allow us to be a part of this competition. Good luck. Let's enjoy our evening.
Next, we're going to have Commissioner Martineau give a few welcome remarks. We appreciate him coming down from Nashville.
Thanks, Christine, and thanks, Mayor, for the nice introduction and welcome. And I'm glad to see a room full of people here, as you say, after a long day of work and in the middle of the week. And it is we're really proud to help support this competition, and I know these projects that are posted around the room and the finalists have gone through a lot of scrutiny. And I think it's really great to encourage kind of the focus on this, and we support, we traditionally think of water pollution and stuff in terms of large, plant facilities and direct discharges coming out of a pipe. But as many of you who play in this world know, that really now the challenges, we've addressed some of those easy, quote, easier challenges and things you can identify easily because they do come out of a discrete pipe or a wastewater treatment plant or an industrial facility. But really, in what's remaining in our challenges to protect our water resources is the non-point source pollution. It's stormwater runoff, agricultural runoff, and things. So it's a real challenge. So trying to find low-impact design developments that minimize the impact of the community, or actually, in some cases, help restore the water quality through rain gardens and things like that is great. And I'm pleased to be down here to help judge this, and with a large panel of distinguished folks to do that. And without that, we'll get on with the program, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you so much for attending tonight's final jury and award ceremony. Before we get started, I just wanted to give you a little background of how we got to this part, and also tell you a little more about low impact development, which is also called LID, it's also called LID, it's also called green infrastructure, kind of a bunch of different names. So back in August of 2013, our office applied for the TDEC grant and received that to host a workshop, a 2-day workshop and a design competition. So I wanted to thank TDEC, of course, for their support, as well as their partners, Tennessee Stormwater Association, TVA, and TDOT, for that grant. And through that grant, we were awarded $21,900. And with that, we hosted the 2-day conference at the Botanic Garden. We had over 100 design professionals that attended. And there's a lot of specific information that was given. We even had a 2-hour session just on engineered soils. So it was really intense. I think people learned a lot. And while the grant was a 20% match, we actually had a 144% match. And so I'm happy to report that the money we received for the grant, $21,000 will actually go to the teams tonight. And we could not have done that without our partners. And I want to go ahead and thank them, TDEC, as well as TDEC's Office of Sustainable Practices, City of Memphis Stormwater Program, Shelby County Engineering Program, Memphis Chapter of Urban Land Institute, Tennessee Chapter of American Society of Landscape Architects, Tennessee American Planning Association, West Tennessee Branch American Society of Civil Engineers, Memphis Metropolitan Planning Organization, United Housing, Dixon Gallery and Gardens, and Simmons Land Company. And a special thanks also goes to our vendors for our conference who sponsored us through a partnership with the landscape architects. Michael Hatcher and Associates, Michael's here tonight, Belgard Hardscapes, and NDS Incorporated. And low impact development is a way to treat stormwater runoff that mimics the natural hydrology of a site instead of the traditional method of piping it off the site where it's not treated and it goes directly into the streams. And by using LID, you're able to filter out the pollutants and treat them on site, so through the soils and through the plant material. So there's economic benefits because you use less pipe, but also you reduce the flooding issues. There's many different types of low impact development technologies like bioswales, tree box filters, infiltration basins, filter strips, and teams were encouraged to pick a few that would work with this specific site. There's many more that they could have picked from. This is an example of a bioswale in Little Rock. The water runoff from the parking lot goes into the bioswale where the pollutants are treated. Here is another parking lot in Missouri where porous pavement is used and the concept of using trees to evapotranspirate the stormwater. In Texas, there was another bioswale on the side of the highway, and that treats the pollutants that come off the highway. And then also a tree box filter that is along a sidewalk. And then engraved in the cement says 46,300 gallons of stormwater treated on that location. So it's one way to actually give education in low impact development. A competition is an innovative way to inspire the teams, the local firms, to learn about low impact development and use it to treat stormwater. And the impetus for the competition, as the mayor said, is the updated regulations that TDEC is rolling out in the next few years. Every municipality is going to have to face them, and so this is one way, a fun kind of way to get people ready for that. Memphis-Shelby County Office of Sustainability is grateful for all the teams that participated because by participating, they advance the use of low impact development by demonstrating the economic impacts and the environmental impacts. So I want to thank them all for participating. We have A2H and Precision Forestry, Allen Hoshall and Site Solutions, Barbara Keithley Associates, Dale Skaggs, Pickering Firm, and Archimania, Blair Parker Design and Civil Engineering Solution, Dalhoff Thomas Design Studio and the Corradino Group, Fisher and Arnold, Gresham Smith and Partners, Black and Vetch, All World Project Management, Richie Smith and University of Memphis, Looney Ricks Kiss and ARUP, Malasri-Gallo-Lawrence, Schnattelbach and Associates and the Ibert Group, SSR and Self Tucker, and JPA. That was 11 teams and about, I think, 28 firms that participated. And we got this idea of the competition from Houston, who did the first low-impact development competition in the United States. And they're similar to us in geography and topography. And so before they did a competition, they had absolutely no knowledge of low-impact development at that location. And then since their competition, of course, their goal was to inspire local designers. And since that competition, they've had more than half the contestants have had a chance to actually implement LID, and 100 projects were submitted within the next year. And today, it's being rapidly adopted in Houston. Our project site, is owned by United Housing. We have Tim Bowling, who owns the property, his group. And they are a nonprofit affordable housing agency. And the location is in James and McLean and Fraser. And they've started to build phase 1 of the Wolf River Bluffs already. It's a 34 single-family development in Fraser, and they use EcoBuild design standards, which is MLGW energy efficiency design standards for their housing stock. And the houses also have solar panels on top. So with their commitment to green development, we thought it was a natural fit to pick their location for the design competition. In green, you can see their phase 1 that's being built, and then in yellow is the project site for this design competition. Overall, they have, I think, 100 acres of property. So currently, it's a wooded site with 1 acre lake. As you can see from this 3D vicinity map, the site is extremely challenging because of topography. There's a large depression there, and it would normally be the last place on Earth you would build houses. So we definitely gave them something to shoot for. I just have a little video that will kind of get you a feel for the landscape. And that's McLean and James right there. So our teams that participated today, they had to have 1 licensed civil engineer, 1 licensed landscape architect, and then they could add to that any way they saw fit. The goals were to reduce runoff, improve quality of water, and lower the total cost of development. Teams have to treat the first 1 inch of rainfall, and then if they can't do that, then they have to treat the remainder for pollutants. So United Housing had their own set of criteria, what they wanted to see on their site. It's 12.5 acres, 1 acre lake. They wanted 4 one-story townhomes, specifically for seniors that are 800 square feet. And they wanted it in cluster development with parking scattered throughout the site, not one massive parking lot. They also want a small amenity center and gated access off McLean Boulevard. And then, of course, passive recreation around the lake for the seniors. So round 1 judging was 80% of the score, and that's already taken place by the experts in Houston. I went out to Houston and participated and observed them. They are all leaders in low impact development for Houston, and they're really glad to participate. Round 2 celebrity judges are here tonight, and I want to just introduce them. Mayor Mark Luttrell, Shelby County Mayor. He already gave welcome remarks. And then the other ones, if you want to stand, Bob Martineau, TDEC Commissioner. Thank you. Jim Strickland, City Council Chair, and Mark Billingsley, County Commissioner. Thank you. Don Green, President-elect of Tennessee Stormwater Association. Thank you. He comes from Chattanooga, and he just finished his own low-impact development competition, so I appreciate him coming that far. Tom Needham, Director of Public Works for Shelby County. Manny Belen, Deputy Director of City Engineering. Chip Saliba, Land Use Controls Manager for OPD. Mike Flowers, Landscape Architect and Administrator of Parks for City of Memphis. Rick McClanahan, Director of City Engineering in Bartlett. Thank you. Tim Bolding, Executive Director of United Housing. Ron Bells, President of Bells Enterprises. Thank you. James Raspberry, President of Raspberry CRE. Gary Thompson, Landscape Architect and Vice President of Boyle Investment. Steve Hodgkins was not able to be with us tonight, but he's with the home builders. Yes, please come forward. Thank you, Steve. Kim Elorgi, landscape architect, project director of Shelby Farms Park Conservancy, and Brian Waldron, Groundwater Institute, University of Memphis. In the order of presentations tonight, this was randomly chosen. Dalhoff Thomas will come forward to come first. Then we'll have Blair Parker, and then JT Malasri-Gallo and Lawrence. So if Dalhoff Thomas could come forward and get your mics on. And each person will have 7 minutes lightning round presentation.
All right, we'd like to thank the Office of Sustainability, the judging panel for this opportunity to present our design solution for the Wolf River Bluffs low impact design. I am Sam Henry, landscape architect, lead AP and senior associate with Dalhoff Thomas Design Studio here in Memphis. We are land planners and landscape architects.
And I am Joel Morrill with the Corradino Group, and we are the design engineers who do the drainage design for this design we're going to show you tonight.
So thank you everybody for coming tonight. This was a really exciting project. We really enjoyed working on it, and listen quickly. Thank you for this opportunity. All right, stormwater is one of those elements that is often out of sight and out of mind. In our normal stormwater cycle, we direct runoff full of pollutants into an inlet where it goes into a pipe and eventually empties into a water source such as a stream or lake. Now in a neighborhood, this is traditionally where it ends up, in a big grass detention basin. It's unsightly and takes up land that could be used for homes or parks. So why do we do it this way? Well, you'll hear it's efficient. This is the way we've always done it, and this is what we know. But what if there's a better way? Our design focuses on 5 elements, and these icons will be repeated throughout our presentation: site planning, economics, stormwater, environmental, and quality of life to make a better development. Now our site plan starts with locating homes on 3 areas on site for a total of 40 homes. We had avoided a development in this area because it acts as a major drainage way for the properties to the north. We preserved the existing pond and located a clubhouse with a green roof at the southern end. We have a gated access from McLean and 2 internal drives for access. We located a neighborhood park in the existing MLGW easement, and we also have street trees and pedestrian lighting throughout. Now our drainage plan maintains the existing drainage patterns on site. Our design takes all the runoff from the roads and parking areas full of these pollutants and captures it in over 40 rain gardens dispersed throughout the site. It infiltrates it and cleanses it before it is released into natural areas and flows into the pond, all without any traditional pipe or structures. The stormwater that is finally released into this western portion is a smaller amount because we allow much of it to infiltrate. It's released at a slower rate so it won't contribute to overwhelming the storm system. It's much cooler and it's much cleaner. Now from an environmental focus, we worked with the existing topography and tree cover to maintain 44% of the site, as you can see in green, as undisturbed. Now with senior housing, accessibility is an important quality of life. So the purple, orange, and yellow lines all designate ADA paths that make the entire property pedestrian accessible. And also important to the quality of life are the amenities and open space. Our community park contains a garden area and a dog park. Green space is distributed in all the clusters so that residents have a place to walk their pets or have activities. And a large lawn is located at the clubhouse for community events. Now this enlargement shows how all the elements come together in a housing cluster. The homes are accessed from a one-way drive. We have angled parking. We provide 1 parking space per home plus visitor parking. The homes are built on conventional foundations that step down the slope. Trees around the cluster are preserved so that every home has views into existing woods. Rain gardens and private gardens are provided at the front of every home, and paths provide access to the adjacent cluster, down the hill to the clubhouse, and down to the boardwalk around the pond. Now this is how the rain garden works. Each of these homes' foundations, the finished floor is stepped so that it's lower than the one next to it. And this allows us to elevate the paths that lead to the homes so that we create these rain garden cells in front of each home. And the rain gardens are connected by openings under the sidewalk. So the profile of our rain garden includes 30 inches of soil with an 8-inch drainage layer, and in that 8-inch drainage layer is a 6-inch perforated drain pipe. So we direct stormwater into our rain garden cells. Now within the cells, the water is allowed to pond up to 6 inches in depth. This slows the water down and allows it to infiltrate into the soil. We also have the cells planted with native plants. They help slow the water down and take up the water. Many of these plants are hyperaccumulators, which means they actually absorb the pollutants in the water. So once the water gets to this 6-inch depth, the opening beneath the sidewalk allows the excess drainage to flow into the adjacent rain garden where it can be cleansed or infiltrated. And this treatment method continues all the way down the hill through the cluster until the stormwater is released as sheet flow and it flows across the natural vegetation into the pond. And in a large storm event, each cell has an overflow pipe that can carry water through an underground piping system to the release point. So our design creates a garden at the front of each residence. This is a rain garden next to the private garden, and it provides not only stormwater control, but plant habitat, wildlife habitat. Each home is also equipped with a rain barrel to collect rain to water their private garden. Residents get to interact with the garden every day, and whether they know it or not, they're looking at the stormwater control system. I mean, wouldn't this be a great place to be? Now at our clubhouse, the event lawn is separated from the pond by a low wall. And in large storm events, the pond is actually able to overflow the wall into the lawn area, which is designed to flood and act as a temporary detention basin until the rain garden can accommodate the runoff. So what we've been able to do is take a detention area and rainwater that's treated as a nuisance and highlight it with this.
So this slide is for all you engineers, so celebrities, I apologize, but the red line on this graph represents a traditional design rain runoff from a site. The white line represents the low impact design runoff, and the black line represents the ground. As you can see at the beginning of a typical storm, both of these systems perform about the same, but as the storm progresses, the green design continues to absorb the water, while the traditional design cannot, and that needs to go into a storm sewer system. Obviously, this has a high impact on cost for projects. We ran some analysis on the runoff that's coming into the site, the rainfall that's coming down versus how these rain gardens are going to be able to perform. What we found is it's able to perform very well. We found a runoff coefficient, again, engineering speak, of 0.08. The infiltration of 98,000 gallons of water for an inch of rain, and 100% suspended solid, or 80% suspended solids capture. We did a cost comparison of traditional design versus green design, $80,000 less, 2.4 times less expensive per gallon of water.
So in summary, our design solutions utilizes green infrastructure techniques with a focus on environmental, site planning, stormwater, economics, quality of life, to locate 40 cluster homes, an exceptional living environment, tons of amenities.
And 100% capture of the water, 80% of the total suspended solids meets the requirement. $80,000 less in cost to capture all this water, 98,000 gallons of infiltration, and 2.4 times more cost effective than a traditional design.
Guys, it works.
It works.
We appreciate it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have Blair Parker Design come up.
Good luck.
So sorry about the microphone snapping.
You know, I may not have had it close enough.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, I'm Mindy Wurzburg, and I want to introduce our team to you. From Blair Parker Design, myself, Blair Parker, Brandon Doss, and Owen Harris. And from Civil Engineering Solutions, Rusty Norval. I'd like to welcome y'all to the grand opening of our senior living community we have named McLean Heights. Our main goal today is to sell you a townhome. So I'll turn the program over to Blair so he can explain more. Blair?
Thank you. And before you purchase a townhome, let's share a few things with you. As we have objectives and we had personal goals and professional goals, team goals. And that is first and foremost that we wanted to design that was very realistic. We wanted to prepare for the upcoming changes in the stormwater regs. We wanted to prove that LID would work and use this competition to educate ourselves for the LID techniques. Look at this aerial photograph. Look at all the trees. Is that not gorgeous or what? Well, the green bubble that's on there will show you a mass of trees that we're saving. There's tremendous slope under that green bubble. The blue bubble is a pond that we are keeping, saving. The red bold line at the very bottom is an area that can't be developed because it is an easement. And the orange bubble is the area that we are in fact developing. So it actually shows up a little bit yellow there, doesn't it? You'll see that our design coming through, and you see how tight our design is, but it fits all within that orange bubble. All right, so visualize the whole area. We're touching a very small portion of the overall site. Actually, if you put the developable area together, we're developing only about 49% of the site. Does that not fit nicely in there? We believe it does. Next is a bird's eye view that shows our vision of what we believe this project should be. We have in the middle is a community spine, and you will drive in off of McLean Road to a driveway surrounding the townhomes, and all of the bioswale and retention areas are within this overall development. The central spine that's located here is a pedestrian space. We believe it's for gathering, it's for moving back and forth of people, being able to go talk to the folks without getting your automobile, to go down and talk to the folks at the other end of the development if you would like. This is a perspective that we've prepared within the community spine, looking towards the clubhouse, and this is how we envision this space being. Again, this is a spot for us to go to be able to walk back and forth. It's totally accessible, and we have bioswales and other stormwater retention amenities within there.
Throughout this community spine and across the entire site are several stormwater treatment facilities. So how do these facilities work? This detail of a bioretention area, also known as a rain garden, will help explain. As it rains, the above-ground ponding zone fills with water to be absorbed by native plant vegetation. It then percolates through the growing media, which filters out pollutants and also reduces total volume, and into a gravel course below. Void space here provides extra underground detention. Water then flows from the gravel course and back into the native soils, helping to recharge groundwater. The vegetation then evapotranspirates water back into the air. This is only one example of the LID features used on site to comprise our treatment train.
The treatment train refers to the various LID techniques we've used on this property. We've got them listed here: the riparian buffer up against the pond, grass swales, bioretention areas, filter strips, wet detention pond, water quality swales, and dry detention basin.
Blair just went over each of the treatment trains, each of the components that we chose in our design. And what the slide you have before you now is hydrology and hydraulic calculations that present the volume of water that we were able to reduce through each of those components he just presented. It'd probably be a little easier and better for you guys to understand if we just kind of do it through a simple bar chart. We prepared one so that you can understand a little better. The bar on the left is a total calculated volume of runoff without any LID treatment. The bar graph on the right shows that each of those components that we just calculated for a volume reduction, so that you can see how much we'd reduced the stormwater runoff, and that's about 65%. An added benefit, as Owen mentioned, was the water quality issue through filtration.
Okay, so LID has all these great environmental benefits, but let's look at it from a different perspective, and that's from cost. What we did was part of the design process and part of the competition was to compare standard development versus green development, the gray versus the green. So here we have a summary chart showing that in each of the 4 major development categories, we're showing a range of savings from 7% to 37%. So when you combine these into an overall lump sum, for our design, McLean Heights, we found a 27% reduction in development costs.
But why would the cost of planting in a gray design versus a green design, why would the cost of plantings be any different? Much less on the right-hand side, you'll see a 34% savings for the green design. Why would that be? I scratch my head and wonder, that doesn't make much sense to me. But when you realize with the gray design, this is standard development. We come in, we wipe out all sorts of trees, and at some point, that's expensive. And then you have to come replace those trees. That's a lot of money. With LID, good practice with LID, you can do it very effectively, remove very little of the existing vegetation. Notice the numbers, 40 units on 4.95 acres. We have 4.97 acres that are protected entirely. So we've designed using 49.9% of the site. So to conclude, with our design, we realize now that LID techniques can work in our region. We know this is fact. Our site design works and it functions very, very well. We reduced development costs by 27%. We have reduced the stormwater runoff by 65%. That's huge. And we met all the criteria for the competition, every bit of the criteria. Thank you very much, and we appreciate this opportunity.
Thanks, guys. Do you want the lapel mic? No one wants the lapel mic.
I'm scared of that mic now.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are Team MGL, and as of tonight, we're also Team AKA 3 Average Joes. So we are very grateful for this opportunity to present at tonight's event. First, we'd like to thank the Office of Sustainability and Christine for all the hard work that she's put into organizing this competition. I now have the honor of introducing you to the design team. My name is JT Malasri. I'm a civil engineer with a background in infrastructure and water resource. This is Corey Gallo, a professional landscape architect who specializes in urban design and green infrastructure. And this is Tom Lawrence, who's also a civil engineer with a background in water resource. So we'd like to share with you a story tonight on how we came up with our design. So the story starts with our philosophy with 3 design components. The first being redundancy. We wanted to utilize a smaller, decentralized design concept. The second being synergy. We wanted to make our components multifunctional and work together in order to maximize value. And the last is connectivity. We wanted to create relationships and ties with both existing and proposed systems and features. We use an iterative approach for our design where we start with a site layout and we looked at it from multiple perspectives, making incremental changes per iteration. We looked at it from human functionality, land use, flood prevention, and water quality. About a week out from the submission deadline, we were on our 5th iteration. So for this particular project, we had 7 major goals, which we'll highlight throughout this project. The first is minimize disturbance. The second being limiting major infrastructure improvements. The third, we want to create an accessible, dynamic neighborhood. Fourth, we wanted to offer a rich pedestrian environment. Fifth, we want to provide dynamic open spaces. We want to provide distributed vehicular access and incorporate a rich network of BMPs to manage stormwater on site.
Great, so our first goal was to minimize disturbance. And we went out to the site several times and we realized this wet weather conveyance is really a drainage feature for the whole area and drains all the area within the red line. It all comes out that point at the bottom where we have the arrow. And what we realized is we really want to preserve that because it's a great functioning system already. So we focused all of our development on the far right side, and we protected the lake and also the hill to the north where we saw several mature trees we really wanted to protect. Our second goal was to limit major infrastructure improvements. So what we did is we just extended Adderley Lane the minimum amount, 280 feet, to get access to our property. And we proposed a connection to McLean, which was required, but we put it as an option because we feel like it would damage the wet weather conveyance. And all this is in line with the master plan you see up there on the screen. So our third goal was to create an accessible and dynamic neighborhood. So what we would imagine is as you come into the neighborhood off of Adderley, you get a pretty view over the lake and the hillside with the mature trees, and you're looking over the pavilion, which we'll talk about, and this unique curved dock, which is really a feature for the site. And the site was designed to be compact and walkable and accessible by wheelchair. And so the blue buildings there are the public buildings, with the large one being the community center. The two-bedroom units are the kind of the lighter yellowish color up there. The real light colored ones are the one-bedroom units. And then the ones that were darker are kind of ones that are along the lake that we're thinking could actually be 2 stories. And we'll see how that works out. But this is a view of our village. Our fourth goal was to offer a rich pedestrian environment for the wheelchairs and pedestrians. And as you can see here, these are all the sidewalks, and they're all ADA accessible. But we also added curb bump outs on the curves to see where people could cross the streets more easily, and it tends to slow down the cars and make people feel more safe. We also have a trail going around the lake and throughout the property to show how people can really access the nature that the property has. And we have street trees so people could enjoy the property on their own.
Thanks, Tom. We're also very excited about Goal 5, which is to provide dynamic open spaces. And that is anchored by the lakefront promenade, which runs north-south along the lake. But also we have 2 we call green mews, or spaces between buildings that create linear connectivity east-west of the site. You see the cross-section there, what those spaces would look like. Many of the units would open on this as sort of an internal court. This is also really critical to our stormwater management strategy, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And if the word green mews is off throwing people off, it's a really cool idea. So, also, open space system has 4 green nodes, or park systems. 2 on the north and the south offer post office pickup. The main one in the center is the gem of the project, which is at the community center, and it has a green infrastructure demonstration pavilion as well as amphitheater. We also have a community garden, which is on the edge of the site, which we hope is a center for this neighborhood, but also allows this community to connect to the larger neighborhood in the future, which will be built later to the east and north. So goal 6, provide a distributed vehicular network. We decided to do this without parking lots and without dead-end roads. So we did this with a combination of narrow roads and alleys with parallel parking and head-end parking along the alleys. And this allows very close parking to all the units. And also a very distributed network. We've also provided for drop-off to the loop drop-off to the Civic Center there where the orange overlook is. Goal 7, of course, is a lot of what this is about, incorporating a rich network of BMPs to manage stormwater on site. We've run through the sizing model and the calculations and determined that focusing on green and on bioretention or rain gardens, this is the area that would be required to infiltrate 2-inch event, or the 95th percentile, or in other words, we've infiltrated 95% of the rainwater through the year. And we've focused on bioretention primarily because of the cost savings. It's about 1/10 the cost of pervious pavement, for instance. We also looked at, that's typically not the only thing to do, so we said, what would it take to do the 10-year storm event? So if you're a developer, you understand why that's important. And we said this additional area which just popped up would recover that, or actually be able to manage both water quality and quantity. Additionally, that could have been done in the lake if that wasn't available as a resource, but we wanted to show how you could do it on site and incorporate it. So this is a cross-section through one of the mews, and it illustrates how the water would be collected off of the pervious pavement, off of the roof areas. It would be collected in each one of the linear bioretention cells, which looks something like the one above, and then smaller events will infiltrate, larger events will convey, and then move down the terrace towards the lake in the largest, or the largest events. It's a cross-section of a typical detail. Obviously, this could get wider depending on where it is in the site. But basically, this is a ponding depth that would only have water in it for at most a day. So for the most part, people walking by this would look just like a garden. So it's a garden that happens to hold rain. And Tom is going to talk for a second.
And so by limiting major infrastructure improvements and not doing the McLean access, we're looking at saving over close to $650,000. And the cost of the infiltration basin versus a traditional drainage is about $100,000 cheaper. So why low impact development? Well, our job as designers and developers is to create thriving, vibrant, sustainable communities and cities. And what we've shown is this 40-unit development with our design is that for 95% of all rainfall, we've mimicked the pre-development conditions, which in essence creates higher value at a lower cost. So the real question is, why not low impact development? Thank you for this opportunity. You guys have been great.
Those are all great presentations. We are going to take about 15 minutes while the judges retally the judges' score. So if you guys want to eat some food and have some more drinks, and then we'll reconvene in a couple minutes. you.
I do know more than I knew 30 minutes ago.
Hey, if the teams could come back up, we've tallied the scores, and we are ready to present the winners. We are ready to present the awards to the teams. If they could come up, all three teams could come up to the stage. First, I want to read a few comments from the judges in Houston about each team. For Malasri-Gallo-Lawrence, they really liked how they didn't disturb the site very much. They also had more capacity for water than they even claimed to show, which was really great. For Dalhoff Thomas Design Studio, they liked the idea of the amenity center on the lake. Thought the paths and parkings were excellent, and they were impressed with the high quality of the project, as well as the cost estimate. And then for Blair Parker Design, this team worked really well with their topography. They have a very walkable site, and the judges felt there was a spirit of innovation by featuring the water and bringing it down the spine of the site. So without further ado, for third place, I'd like to have JT and his group come up front. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to turn it off. Let's see. Oh no.
Can I shut this?
Yeah. No, that won't work. No, that won't work. Hey, Dale, how do we turn that screen off, please?
How many engineers do we have here?
You can turn this way. Oh my goodness. Thank you all. Second place goes to Blair Parker Design. Oh. And the anticipation is killing us. Who is first place? Dalhoff Thomas Design Studios. You guys want to hold this too? think John Zena wanted to say a few words. Thank you. And
Thank you, Christine. I'm John Zena. I'm the new administrator of the Memphis-Shelby County Office of Sustainability. Before we close tonight, I want to first thank Christine Donhart with our office for the incredible job she did. Christine's background and education is in landscape architecture, so she was a perfect fit to lead this project, which was quite apparent tonight. Wonderful job, Christine. All the teams who participated, all 11 teams who participated in the competition, thank you, and congratulations to the top 3 finishers and to Dalhoff Thomas and Corradino Group for your #1 finish tonight. The judges, Mayor Luttrell, Commissioner Martineau, County Commissioner Billingsley, Councilman Strickland, and all the esteemed judges for giving of your time tonight. And of course to all of you who attended tonight. This was such an outstanding crowd. When we received this grant, when we started the work of doing the workshop for low impact development earlier in the year, and obviously started putting together the event tonight and the competition. We weren't quite sure how much reception we would get among the public for low impact development. I think that's quite obvious tonight, that the reception is that there's great interest in low impact development in our city and county, and we're very excited that you all are here to see these great presentations and see the outstanding impacts that low impact development can bring both environmentally and economically for our city and county. And hopefully we'll start to see some of these projects implemented starting with Wolf River Bluffs. So thank you all again tonight for attending.